This is the official introduction to the Only the Greatest podcast.
Do you have to sit like that?
I am your host. And this is my co-host. My name is Darryl. This is Papa Phil.
Maybe I should. Hold on, man. This table's kind of in my way. Chairs are.
I don't know if y'all can tell, but we got the old.
The dad pose going on.
This is kind of like a dad sit, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I don't have any kids, but I can sit like a dad.
You got the flip flops on.
I got flippers.
I call
just so we know.
Pretty dad-like.
Yeah, I think dads wear flip flops, don't they?
Oh yeah, or
Crocs. Crocs with socks.
I usually just call them like Super Dad 3000s, but
The white Nikes with the navy check or the New Balances. You know what I'm talking
either
about?
one.
Sometimes
Either
Velcro, sometimes not.
Yeah, it could go
Cover grass stains from mowing the lawn.
Yeah.
They have the best lawn on
No
the block.
doubt.
You know what? It's funny that we're talking about dads.
And I was just thinking, I wasn't expecting this intro, this dad-like
Me neither.
intro.
Well, I think it was the sit.
But since we're on the subject of dads, it kind of is a nice flow into the subject of the show today.
You know what? I'm going to bring up two things when we're talking about dads. Today is Chuck's birthday. He's 69.
Daryl's father-in-law.
He's my father-in-law, my dad-in-law, Jessica's dad. And I went and seen him today. Hung out with him, wore my birthday hat.
I saw those birthday hats.
Had a
What color did you go with?
I went with red. He had a blue one, and I think Jessica had a, maybe hers was pink.
Yeah, Denver looked great in the silver.
Oh, yeah. Diesel wore the green. Diesel wore the green. So, anyhow, we had a Perry's Steakhouse pork chop.
Those are good. Those are very
Bomb.
good.
Lunch portion, $17 on Fridays. Y'all check them out.
Yep,
They're one of my sponsors, so shout out. But no, so that's the first thing about dads. Secondly, and what the show is actually about is my dad. And I think those who are close to me, I've told this story before. And it's really something that kind of dawned on me a little bit later in life. But it came back up when you and I were running the other day.
This is one of my all-time favorite stories. I've heard it before, and we go through spurts where we talk about it.
Yeah.
The other day when we were running, though, it really helped me out because for whatever reason, man, you really picked up the pace the other day, and I was struggling.
I was flying.
We were running.
So we were both flying, but
Well, Daryl's flying faster.
well, I don't know. I think you might have been struggling more, but you were moving pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I was right behind you. We were at like our usual running pace is about between 9 and 9.5 minutes.
Yeah,
when we
run multiple miles.
Yeah, we were running 7.5 to 8 minute pace, which is if anybody runs, that's significantly faster.
Right. So we picked the pace up, and it reminded me. I told Phil, "Hey man, no hamburgers, dude." And Phil knows what that means. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you the origins.
And let's get detailed as well. And let me just little preface. Every time I hear this story, it gives me chills.
Yeah.
This is one of those stories that when Only the Greatest is on the biggest stage in the world,
we're going to remember
Daryl's going to tell this story, and it's going to, I don't know, that's just what I think about when I hear it. So I'm just going to kind of shut up. I'm going to let you tell the story because you tell it best. So
when I was younger, I used to race BMX, and we raced a lot for many, many years. And shout out to both my mom and my dad. They bent over backwards to make sure that I was able to, especially in the early days before I had sponsors or anything, they made sure that I was able to get to all these events and actually pay for me to race and so forth. And it was a lot. I mean, we traveled out of town quite a bit to race, other states, other parts of the country, everywhere from, we raced in Texas, Pennsylvania. I mean, you name it, we shot all around the country racing. So it was a big deal for us and our family. And I was pretty decent. But
decent? I don't know, man. I remember the trophy rooms. Like I'm talking
all right,
garage full.
Listen,
full
bro.
Of BMX trophies.
I might have been the World Cup champion at one point, but don't Google it.
I just wanted to say that he's being modest right now. There was so many trophies. I mean, we're just boxes.
You know what? I had to get rid of a lot of those because I put them, or I had to throw a lot of them away because I put them in the attic for a while, and they got like, they basically just started to disintegrate. They weren't made out of like quality material.
Right.
But anyhow, so I did a lot of racing. I was pretty good, but that's not the point.
Right.
The point is, we used to have this local track down here, and it was called a couple different names over time, but in the beginning it was called Roadrunner BMX. And, it was a legit track. They had legit local races where you could actually earn race points and add your wins up to qualify for nationals and so forth. And we had a kind of like a core group of people that were always there, the local people that went to race. And then, of course, people would come from other parts occasionally and race. And I think we had like some state championship races there over the years. But anyway, the point is we had this core group of guys, and there was several of us that were all pretty good, a little bit older, younger. I mean, everywhere from, I think I started when I was 3 and raced all the way up into my early teenage years. And then there was guys who were racing in their 50s. A couple of my friends' dads raced and everything. So there's a wide range of us anyway. And
it's like dirt track BMX racing.
Yeah, racing. Yeah. And of course, you had to race with your age group, right? Anyway, there was this one guy, I'm not going to say his name. Phil knows his name.
We'll just call him.
Nope, we're going to call him Hamburger.
Hamburger, yeah. I didn't want to say it.
That was his nickname. His Hamburger. Name, he was a little bit heavier set. And I want to say at that time, and I was young, but I'm going to assume he was probably late teens, early 20s, probably around that time, just based on what I remember of him. Heavy set guy. And he went by Hamburger. He would introduce himself as Hamburger, right? I guess because he was heavy set, I assume.
I mean, people take on their nickname over time, right?
Right, yeah. So
you accept it.
He introduced himself as Hamburger. And so anyway, Hamburger was he was a pretty good racer. He was actually moderately fast from what I remember. And I remember on several occasions, Hamburger would take off from the gate. There's 8 people on the track max. And he would be in front, like most of the track. Like he would be in, up close to the front of the pack, maybe even first place. And then like the last stretch of the track, when it really mattered the most, he would sit down and he would quit pedaling and he would coast and everybody would pass him up. And he would end up getting last or third, or not first, basically. Yeah. He would end up losing because if you don't get first, you lost. And that's how I feel.
Yep.
And that's how I took it all the time, all the way up until now. If you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah.
Not last. If you ain't first, you lost, though.
Yeah, I agree.
But so anyway, it kind of became known, at least to me, my family, and my like immediately close racing friends.
The real winners. Yeah, maybe.
Well, no. The just the people who like were my age group, my family. It kind of became, to pull a hamburger kind of became a verb, like, and it meant to quit, right? To not finish all the way through.
To not finish strong.
Right. If you don't finish strong, you're pulling a hamburger. And so my dad, and I don't really know, my dad's passed away now, but I don't know if it was more of an in the moment thing or if it was a life lesson thing or if it was both. But every time, especially, every time we got to the racetrack, whether it was local or a national race or anything like that, and we were getting ready to race, he would come up to me and he would kneel down because I was a little boy at the time. And he'd look at me and he'd say, "All right, son, listen to me." And he would say, "I don't care if you win by 10 miles or you lose by 10 miles. I don't care if you get first, fourth, or eighth," because there's only 8 people maximum on the track. So 8th is dead last.
Yep.
He goes, "I don't care if you wreck. I don't care if you're in first the whole time, last the whole time. If you pull a hamburger, if you quit pedaling, I will sell your bike. I will sell all of your equipment. I will sell everything that is related to you racing, and you will never race again. I won't even," and this might have been a little harsh. He was like, "I'll even pretend that you never raced if you do that. I would be so embarrassed if you pulled a hamburger that's what I would do." He was like, so
when people ask about Darryl when he used to race, be like, What are you talking about?
Yeah, he would be like,
he never raced.
Hey, Darryl, did you used to race? My dad would be like, no, doesn't sound familiar to me. Mm-hmm. So he would tell me that that's what he was going to do. And I was always, and when I was a little boy, of course, I didn't think about it in depth. I was just scared. I liked to race so much. I was like, damn, if I quit pedaling, no matter what, he's going to, and he made it sound like at the moment I got off the track, he was going to get me off the bike and put a for sale sign on it. And that was going to be it. We were going to go home and never race again. I was so scared of that it motivated me every time, no matter what, to pedal all the way through as hard as I can until I pass the finish line, right? Doesn't matter if I'm in first, fourth, or eighth. It don't matter if I'm in my own fucking zip code. It don't matter if I wrecked and everybody already finished the race and I'm just getting back on my bike. I pedal as hard as I can.
All the way to the
finish line. No matter what. And so at that time, of course, I was a little more, when you're a kid, your thoughts are a little more shallow and not as deep. And so that was what was in my mind. Then as I got older, I started to really think about no hamburgers. Like I started really thinking about how it applies to literally anything that you may be trying to accomplish in your life, whether it's building a business like OTG, whether it's building a career like what I've done so far in the industry that I'm in, building an investment portfolio like I'm working on right now, building a physique, raising your kids. It doesn't matter. The point is, falling down, losing. Not necessarily say losing. Not being the best.
Running into a hurdle.
Yeah. Falling down.
Wrecking. Yeah.
The point of the moral of the story is really, despite all odds, no matter what happens to you, get up, dust yourself off, and keep going.
And even if you're ahead.
And when you're ahead, don't sleep.
I'm trying to remember what episode it was. It's been a few months ago. We had an episode that talked about that. When you are doing the best, do not quit on yourself.
Right.
Because you'll fall backwards eventually.
Because you will fall back. So it doesn't matter if you're winning, losing, if you stumbled. It doesn't matter if whatever setback that you faced in your life and whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, never, ever, ever, ever quit. Never quit.
Never have that hamburger.
And never hamburger. No hamburgers.
Yeah, none.
And that, when I got a little older and I started to think about what it actually meant, it is something that pops into my mind every single time I'm facing adversity and I think that something's hard. For example, one small example, we were running the other day. I picked up the pace. It was hard physically. I was huffing and puffing. My knees hurt, and the only thing I could think about was my dad kneeling down and going, all right, boy, here's the only rule. There's one rule when it comes to your racing. Don't quit. And so anytime I'm facing adversity in my career, anytime I'm facing adversity in my life in general, right now, myself and my family are facing some real adversity on multiple different fronts, some health things going on. And the only thing I can think about is not quitting. No matter what.
Yeah, it works for the small things like a run or the big things like what you're talking about now. I know the other day when this whole first thing started, man, I was dying out there.
Yep.
It was hot. My legs hurt. Mm-hmm. My heart hurt. My throat was hurting.
Sweating.
I was kind of dehydrated. It was the first kind of good run we've been on in a while since I hurt my leg.
Yeah, because we've been on a couple, but we've kept the pace.
Yeah, and
down for that hamstring.
Darryl told the hamburger story
while we were running.
Multiple.
I'm exhausted. This is between breath.
Yeah. And we were just yelling, and Darryl was probably at least a good 20, 30 yards in front of me.
I don't know about that. Yeah, a little bit ahead.
Yeah, and
but still able to
communicate
talk to him.
Yeah,
like I could be like, all right, Phil, come on. And he could hear me from where I was at.
And I was just picturing in my head, because as kids, me and Darryl and I were best friends as kids. So obviously I was close to his dad as well. And so I know what your dad looks like, right? I know what you look like as a child.
You can remember his voice.
I can hear his voice. I can see his face. I can see the emotion. I can see he had my facial hair's a little grown out, and he always had his facial hair a little bit grown out, and I could just see him grabbing the face mask.
He would grab it. So I had a full face helmet.
It's like a full face mask.
It would come in front, and I had a visor.
Yeah.
And he would kneel down, and he would grab me by that mask, and he would pull me in close to him. And he would say, all right. And then he would tell me that story.
Yeah, and while we were running, that's what I'm picturing in my head. I'm picturing him grabbing that face mask, talking to this 10-year-old kid.
Yeah.
If you ever even think about quitting, if you stop pedaling, you'll never race again. Yeah. And me thinking about that in my head, I'm just like, oh, shit. And I'm just like, start running.
Yeah, I think there's a country song that even says this. I can't even think of it, but it sounds familiar. But basically, if you quit anything, how you do anything is how you do everything. Mm-hmm. So if you quit right now, you'll always be a quitter. You're going to be the guy who quit. Mm-hmm. And you can restart. And I'm not saying you can't pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and become a winner. But the point is, you'll have that mark, that quit on your record, you know. Mm-hmm. And he basically said he could tolerate anything. I don't care what you do, as long as you don't quit. And now that I'm a man, I think about that regularly in my life. And I don't know. I just feel like it's a cool message to get out there. I don't remember having any adult conversations with my dad about, you know, what he was he trying to instill something in me as a boy, or did it just kind of happen that way? But the point is, it did happen that way.
Right.
And man, I can't shake it off. I'll never be able to shake it. So don't quit, guys. And if you've quit, begin right there where you're at. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep on rolling. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's a relationship, a career, a business, a fitness journey. It doesn't matter if it's a run around the block. It does not matter. If you're battling cancer, if you've had tragedy in your life, if you've made mistakes, it doesn't matter.
No hamburgers.
No quit. And if you don't have any quit in your heart, good things will happen.
I agree.
Big things will happen. So guys, we're going to end on that one. No hamburgers, all right? You got anything else, Phil?
No, that's it. No hamburgers.
No hamburgers. All right, guys. Till the next time, between now and then, don't ever quit. We're out.